All right, we are live. For those of you that are joining us, my sincere apologies that we are a couple minutes late getting started today. We had some, I'd like to call them technical difficulties, but it was really just my fault. So glad that you guys are all joining. We'll give it a couple of minutes. I'm going to launch a quick poll. If you are joining us and can give us some quick responses to those answers, I'd really appreciate it. It just helps us know a little bit about who's joining and that kind of thing. So thanks for plugging in your, oh, good. Thanks, guys. Awesome. All right, we'll let that run a little bit. So it looks like 90% of you have joined before. This is phenomenal. I want to thank you all for just owning your own journeys and looking for lots of ways to connect with many different types of employers. You know, on that note, I'll just say when we started this, it was always meant to be a series that people could opt into based on their needs or their interests. So the fact that 85 to 90% of you are joining us repeatedly is very cool. Thank you so much for being with us. We definitely appreciate your time. I, as always, want to give a huge thank you to our university partners, the University of Arizona, University of South Florida, University of South Carolina, and the Texas A&M University System. We appreciate you being here. You know what? I just realized, Montaigne, if you are out there, hang on one second. Montaigne, I'm so sorry. I just added you as a panelist. I hope you're willing to join us still. It's been a week, guys. My sincere apologies. Montaigne Long, how are you, Montaigne? Thank you so much for joining us. You guys, on that note, our university partners are incredibly important to the work that we do. Every week they are helping us share out with their military connected students and community partners. And this week we have Montaigne Long join us from Texas A&M University System. And Montaigne, I really appreciate you being here to just share a little bit with us in a second. I also want to give a huge thank you to our corporate sponsors for making this entire series possible. So the fact that 90% of you are joining in more than once is a very cool thing. And these sponsors are really helping make all this possible. So those are ADP, Deloitte, Amazon, and Tech Systems. So guys, here's the thing. I'm not going to worry about this slide because you're all here because you already know that navigating civilian employment is complicated. We appreciate you being here and just sharing some of your day with us. A little bit about us, for those of you that haven't met us before, my name is Candy. Kevin and I, my husband, started 50 Strong in August. We're 11 weeks in. I just pulled some data and we have had over 3,600 registrations to join these sessions in the last 11 weeks. Many of you are coming back again and again, which is so cool. But really, we just wanted to see if this kind of concept worked. And so we thank you for joining us in that. Kevin, I'm gonna just, if you can say a few words, we may have a few people that haven't joined us before. Actually, I can see now that we have about 27 people. This is the first time that they joined us. So can you just share a little bit about why you were willing to test this out with me?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Kevin Tillman. I'm married to the lovely Candy over there. I want to thank Matt and Billy and Montaigne for jumping on as well. Yeah, we started out because I was in your boat. I got out in 2005 for those that you haven't joined before. I was over in Fort Lewis, Washington, over at Ranger Battalion. When I got out, kind of like a lot of people, they think they're going to just transition in a pretty peaceful manner and jump into a career and transition. And at the time when I left, I literally just didn't care. I'm like, well, I'll take some time off because I was not my headspace was pretty bad. So when I got out, I'm like, well, I'll figure it out on the way. And on the way took a long time. And it was a shit show, to say the least. But I learned a lot. Luckily, through that process, Candy was a huge help. I had met Candy and she had spent a lot of time, obviously, in the corporate world. And there was a lot of stuff that I didn't understand. one of them today, which is the interview process and how to prepare for stuff like that, which is why I'm super grateful that the panelists are on today. But really, it's a matter of finding ways to get the veterans or active duty people aware of the process. And whatever you're told, hey, you're going to have, I mean, I had a degree, I had all that stuff beforehand, and I still got out. It's good to have a degree, but it didn't make a difference for me because I just didn't understand what I was doing. Like, just flat out didn't understand it. So this forum helps connect you directly to employers like Amazon that can flat out tell you, this is what we're looking for. And if it's something Amazon does, it's probably something that ADP does, that other companies do. So really grateful that the 57 participants that are on here are willing to come on and try and learn. As Candy always says, this is not, you don't show up to one of these events and all of a sudden you've got the, it's a silver bullet and the holy grail to your, to your job search, but it's a good starting point. So really grateful you guys are on, and awesome panelists too. When we did this, what was it, 8 weeks ago, Candy? Super fun. And those that are willing to actually do the interview process,
Yeah.
Thank you. It's good fun. You'll enjoy it. So thanks for being on. That's my short.
And guys, what I will say, for those of you that got our communication this week, one of the things I promised is that today would be fun. Matt and Billy and Theta, who will be joining us in a second. Listen, interviewing is some tough shit, right? And it's not always fun. And these guys and Theta for sure, they're just a fun crew. So what we hope is that we can all kind of practice together. It's very safe, right? And we'll just fumble our way together if we need to, right? But it's just an easy, fun way to learn. Kevin, thank you for that. What I want everybody here again to remember, we primarily have large corporate partners that are military seeking and actively hiring join us. Please take this away from me. These may not be a good fit for you, right? They may be a good fit for you. And so thank you for joining to maybe expose yourself a little bit, but maybe they're not. But here's what I will promise you. The information that is shared by our employer partners is very relevant, right? So what you're going to hear today around interview tips is incredibly relevant for any company in any role. I also just want to, share our university partners are really critical again, because they want to be providing just an additional avenue for career readiness and career support. We also know that our university partners are engagement hubs for their entire communities. And so, many of you that are joining us, it looks like almost 50% of you that are joining us are active duty today. Maybe you heard about this through your installation, that heard about this via one of their close university partners. So our university collaboration is really key for us. And then certainly our strategic partners are important. So you hear me talk about Veterati and DoD SkillBridge every single week. I will continue doing that because I think those are two really important opportunities for everybody to know about. What I would like to do is I'm going to stop the screen share. So I shared that Montaigne Long is joining us from Texas A&M University System. A couple of weeks back, we, again, this is all a test and learn for all of us, right? A couple of weeks back when we had Booz Allen Hamilton on, we had the former SVA president that is now working at Booz Allen joining us. And he was incredibly close to the lead at the University of Arizona, who is one of our partners. And Cody Nichols came on and helped to welcome his former student. And it was just a really cool opportunity for us to bring in our university partners to talk a little bit in a, just a very straightforward way about, kind of what they're doing and the collaboration with 50 Strong. And so Montaigne, I appreciate you joining us today. Montaigne is with Texas A&M University System. If there's any Aggies out there that are joining in, Montaigne, I'm going to just hand the floor over to you for the next couple of minutes to share and help us welcome and kick off this interview prep session.
Great, Candy. Thanks so much. Howdy, everyone. It is just so great to be joining you all today. Thanks to Candy and Kevin for having the Texas A&M system as a partner. Thank you to Amazon for presenting today. I know that you're going to get a lot out of this presentation, and Candy promises it to be fun, and I'm sure it will be. So we're really glad that you're all joining us for this Employer Connect. As Candy mentioned, my name is Montaigne Long. I am the Assistant Director of the Office of Veteran Services with the Texas A&M University System. I've worked with student veterans in higher education for about the past 10 years, starting when veterans really started to make an impact in higher education and started coming back to higher education to use their post 9/11 GI Bill. And so I have been in various roles at several different institutions, both in California and in Texas. I started off certifying benefits and working in the Veteran Service Office. I opened up the first Veteran Resource Center at California State University Northridge, worked at a community college in California, and now I'm here with the Texas A&M University System, which was coming home for me to my alma mater. My husband is retired from the military, and so I know what it's like for student veterans to make those difficult transitions out of the military into higher education, out of higher education into the workforce. I've been there to support him through all of those. And so that's kind of where my passion comes for serving student veterans, is as a military spouse. A little bit about the Texas A&M University System. We're comprised of 11 campuses across the state of Texas, and I'm sure you've heard of our flagship, Texas A&M University in College Station. But really, there are unique campuses with programs that are designed for veterans across our system. And so if you're looking for higher education, we hope that maybe you would consider our system. We have been serving veterans for over 100 years now, starting with the first veterans that came to the main campus in College Station following World War I. We really believe in serving veterans from application to vocation, and really strive to be a destination of choice for student veteran success. Part of that mission of serving students from application to vocation means that we have programs and resources designed for them from the time they apply, or even when they're considering applying, all the way through graduation and to post-graduation employment, which is why we saw partnering with 50 Strong as a really great opportunity for our student veterans to have exposure to companies who are actively seeking to hire veterans, top companies at that. And so this ties in with our commitment to serving veterans through graduation. As veterans, you possess so many skills that these companies are looking for. You're resilient, you have leadership, you're a little bit older, all those great qualities that make you really great students, all those qualities that make you really great servicemen and women are going to make you great employees as well. So the partners, the employers that have partnered with 50 Strong know that you have these skills, and that's why they're actively seeking to hire you. So really, you've already taken the first step in engaging with the potential employers by participating in the series. So I just encourage you to keep taking advantage of any type of career readiness opportunities that come your way, because those are really going to ensure your success once you're ready for employment. I will drop my LinkedIn URL in the chat in just a second if you're looking to reach out and connect. If you're looking for higher education, I'm happy to connect with you. But take advantage of all of these opportunities that you can. If you're active duty, maybe you've heard of DoD Skill Bridge, and it's one of Candy's, I know, one of her favorite partners to work with, but that's another great opportunity for you to get some really great training out in corporate world, in higher education, in a field that you want to go to work in. Take advantage of that before you transition out of the military to get some other experience. If you're student veterans, I would encourage you to, look for internships and other employment opportunities while you're enrolled in school. They were going to really just set you up for success upon graduation. So that's my words of wisdom. Again, thanks for joining us today. We're really glad you're here. Candy and Kevin, thanks again for having me.
Thank you so much, Montaigne. We really, really appreciate that. Again, thank you to Texas A&M System for this ongoing collaboration. Since I have the slides not shared and you can see all of our other panelists, I just want to take this time to welcome the team from Amazon. I am so happy to see you guys. Theta, I'm so sorry. I literally just also saw the email alert come in. I'm so glad that you found us. Probably my fault, right? But okay, you're working on your audio, Theta. I see that. Okay. So guys, would you guys mind, Billy, Matt, and Theta, to just say a quick hello to everybody, who you are, what your background is, and then I'll take the floor back to just talk a little bit more housekeeping and setup, and then I'll turn it back over to you guys if that's okay. So Billy, you mind to kick us off?
Sure. Thank you, Candy and Kevin, for having us today, and thank you all for joining. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all. My name is Billy Knapp. I am the Military Program Manager for Amazon's Workforce Staffing team. And Workforce Staffing is the organization internal to Amazon that supports all of our entry-level hiring. So these are our hourly positions that are located across the country, currently hiring for tens of thousands of individuals across the country, especially right now during our peak hiring season. So I'll speak a little bit more about those positions and the value that they can bring to you and your families a little bit later on. But a little bit about me, Marine Corps veteran of 9 years, Iraq and Afghan deployments before transitioning out in 2014. It's been a while, and went back to school myself for 2 years in New York before coming to Amazon 4 years ago. So really excited to be part of a fantastic organization, work alongside some really awesome people like Matt and Theta and a lot of others who unfortunately weren't able to make the call, but just trust that Amazon is a great place to land as a veteran or as a military spouse. We'll certainly get into that a lot, but it is an amazing place to work. So I'll turn it over to Matt.
Hello. Can you hear me? Good? Yeah. All right. First, I love coming to this event. I've only been here twice. It's the third time on Zoom. I love coming to this. It's awesome. So thank you, Candy and Kevin, for doing it. I'll come back whenever you want. I am not a recruiter. I just love helping veterans because when I transitioned out of the veteran from being a veteran, so I'll give you a little bit extra, it was not awesome. LinkedIn didn't believe in it, didn't believe in networking. There's a lot of things I didn't believe in. My belief was that if you're good at your job, somebody will hire you. Apparently that's not true. So it took from transition to, so I left active duty in 2012 and went into the reserves. And it took until I had lots of jobs in between, but until I joined Amazon, I did not have a job that I loved. So, and I will tell you, one of the reasons that I got the job at Amazon is because their military recruiting team, which I'm not a member, Billy is and Theta is, they're there all the time. And when they were doing in-person interviews, there was, I went to different seminars when you could go in-person things, and there was 30 people, 30 veterans interviewing in the spot. When everybody else sent like one or two, they'd have come strong and they would help you on the spot translate your resume into things that are going. So thank you to the military veterans team. I love the event. I've been part of supporting their seminars for the last 36 weeks also. My background, 23 years Navy, last in the reserves, married to a retired Navy 06. So who's in charge? And I am now currently a 06 in the United States Navy. I'm a surface warfare officer, but the last 6 years I've spent with SEAL Team 17 and 18, which are reserve SEAL teams, being the commanding officer of their unmanned aircraft systems teams. And if that sounds cool, it is. So my job with Amazon is that I work for the unmanned aircraft systems, the drone delivery program, where you will be able to go eventually onto your computer. And when you choose Amazon, it'll say 2-day delivery, 1-day delivery, 30-minute delivery via drone. And you'll press a button and to your backyard will come, boop, your package. If that sounds awesome, it is. So my experience has been, I can talk about a Prime Air, which is a very, very technical thing, mostly oriented out of Seattle. And I can talk about also Amazon Air, which is the cargo freight delivery program, which is just growing very, very rapidly. So if people have an aviation background or logistics background or drone background, we can talk about it. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can press follow on LinkedIn because I post about between 0 and 100 jobs a day from all technical companies that I can, just so people can get from recruiters, so that people can see Tesla, Google, Amazon, anybody that's posting. Just feel free to look at the post and I put it there. Is that enough, Candy? That's enough, right?
Listen, what you don't know is I have a screenshot from one of your LinkedIn posts in the deck that I share. And every week I'm communicating to people, you should just go follow, because Matt is basically just sharing a lot of really good opportunities. So we're happy to have you here for sure. And Billy, thank you so much. Theta, are you good on audio?
I think so.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
There's Theta.
Fantastic.
Hey, I don't know how I'm supposed to follow Matt. He is in a fantastic, he's always in a great mood, but I feel like today he had an extra Mountain Dew. I'm loving it. He's even making Billy crack smiles, which is fantastic. Loving the beard, by the way, Billy. Looking great. You shaved a lot of it off. You actually have a face now. So great to see you. Haven't seen you in a few days. I don't know how I'm supposed to follow you, Matt. That was incredible. Matt is definitely a LinkedIn celebrity. He's got more followers. I'm surprised he didn't throw it out there. He's absolutely LinkedIn famous. You should definitely follow him. I'm not going to drop any numbers. 35,000 LinkedIn connections. You should definitely follow Matt. If it's nothing else you do today, follow Matt. My name is Theta Johnson. I do a lot of things, but technically, on paper, I am a sourcing recruiter for AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. It's the tech side of the house, so cloud, nothing on ground tech, but up in the cloud tech. Definitely work with on ground tech people too. I do a lot of stuff. I mean, oh my goodness. I love these 50 strong events too. I think these are great. I love Candy. We have great taste, her and I. We both, oh, thanks, JR. We both have the best college football team ever. So
Wait, don't say what it is yet. Because
I'm not. And I took it down. Do you see this? There's no cheating. I felt it, right? No, I took it down for other reasons, but it'll be up in about an hour, I promise. So I do all kinds of different things. I do events, I do connections. I am a bridge. Walk on me is basically what I like to say. If there's anything that you're interested in within Amazon, I will find the right person if I don't already know them and get you connected to the right people. So please, please, please reach out to me if there's anything I can do to help you. Mock interviews, look at your resume and give you some tips. I will tear it apart if you let me and make it look good. If you need me to like go over a river for you and you just walk on my back, I will do that too. That's what I'm here to do. It's what I love. I come from a military background. I am not prior service. Funny enough, a lot of people think I am. I come from a military family. My mom was a lieutenant in the Navy. Go Navy. Go Navy. And she was definitely, she was an officer. So definitely lots of in the Navy nurse course, so lots of white glove checks and trying to get me to fold corners in my bed. It didn't work, but she tried. And then my dad was an enlisted Marine, and so I definitely come from that culture, that background. I understand it and I get it. And I've been in the military specific recruiting space for the better part of 7 years, and I've been in HRTA recruiting, leading teams in some capacity for the better part of 15. So I'm an old fart, an old goodie, an old, I've been doing this a while. So let me know if there's anything that I can do to help you. I love doing these things. It's going to be a good day. So I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that, but I tried.
You were awesome. Hey, listen, guys, thank you all for being here. Montaigne, again, thank you for joining us. Let me go back now. Hang on, sorry. All right, so couple things. Since the vast majority of you have joined us before, and it looks like a lot of you have also taken advantage of the replays. Here's the thing, we do these every week, but where I really think a lot of opportunity is we also post them unedited to our website the day after every session. And we do this because, listen, I know this just isn't a good slot for some people, right? I also want people to have the opportunity to absorb something they may have missed or just have access. So we put all the replays on our website. You can see here that we've had folks come in from Deloitte. We had a huge session on SkillBridge, Microsoft, Tech Systems, Procter, U-Haul, Mayo Clinic, 80. Like, here's the thing, guys. We've had some awesome companies come in. Part of what I really have appreciated is that these, the folks that come in, they'll call me after the meeting and they'll say, oh my gosh, Candy, my LinkedIn's blowing up. Oh my gosh, my email's overflowing with interested folks. Listen, it makes my heart happy. I'm also now starting to hear, now that we're 11 weeks in, that folks are getting jobs because of opportunities that they're hearing about on these sessions. Here's the thing, if you have found an opportunity because of 50 Strong, let me know. I'd love to just kind of know what's going on out there. For us, we don't always hear about the job placement. And so if you have found something, please let me know. Good news. This is a fall test and learn series. We have learned a lot. We are learning every single week. Billy and I were actually just talking before we started about something we even want to think about a little bit more for spring. We are going to be continuing this series into spring 2021. Also, because what I didn't anticipate, but almost half of you that are joining every week are active duty, and we're talking a lot about Skill Bridge. So we are also going to be launching a 50 strong Skill Bridge Connect in the spring. We have been doing some trial runs for opportunity, of which the Amazon team has been certainly a huge participant of that. But just looking for ways that we can help support our employer partners as they open up Skill Bridge opportunities. So please be on the lookout for more coming on that. A couple of housekeeping items. And this is a little bit different for today. So many of you are blowing up the chat box, putting in your LinkedIn URL. Listen, this is awesome. I've got great feedback on just the networking that you guys are getting from the chat box. Please continue to do that. On the right, if you want to send questions or messages only to the speakers, please use the Q&A box. For today, if you are interested in volunteering to answer a mock interview question later on, please use the raise hand function when we get to that. Now, I want to say this. I recognize that answering an interview question live on camera is incredibly scary. I would also be scared. And so here's what I just want you guys to know. Be thinking about if you are comfortable volunteering. This is not a scary environment, as you guys have seen from these awesome panelists. Like, we're all just here to help. So we're going to learn and practice together before you're in game time. Okay. So be thinking about that. When we get to that point, just raise your hand and let us know if you're interested in joining us, okay? All right. Real quick, for those of you that don't know how to find your LinkedIn URL that might want to drop it in the chat box, click on your picture in linkedin.com, go to view profile, contact info. You should find it right there, and you can do a quick copy and paste into the chat box. Yes, don't forget to add the HTTP // Thank you so much, David. All right, so Matt, I was not joking. Lately, we've been showing a LinkedIn post that you put out recently, and you already talked about it, so you stole my thunder. But the point is, you actually talked that day about you believed, and I still believe in meritocracy. If you're good at your job, it will work out. You will find another team. The problem is that meritocracy only works when combined with awareness. So Matt, if you want to talk a little bit more about that, I'm happy to give you the floor, but I want you to know this is something that we have now started to share every week, because I think lots of folks think that LinkedIn is bad and networking is bad. The reality is we're all building relationships and trying to work together to help folks get connected to opportunity. Matt, any words of wisdom?
Yes, absolutely. So simply put, around October of last year, I had about 200 connections in LinkedIn, and so 200, right? I now have over 30,000. Okay, that is not impressive. What you do with LinkedIn is what's really important. So for me in particular, I networked with as soon as I joined Amazon, I networked as many people as possible, Amazon recruiters and other technical recruiters, because there was a 3.5 unemployment rate and Amazon had 40,000 positions open. And I thought, how in the world can people not know how awesome Amazon is? So so I spent much of my time, and now connected to about 3,000 recruiters, 4,500 Amazonians. And over the last 1 year, I've posted 24,000 jobs posts. Why I mention those things is press follow, and they're going to come in all day, and you'll see I actually posted 15 or 20 while we're talking. It's networking is not about networking. It carries a lot of bias, a lot of baggage. Okay. You are good, and you're a good leader. You're a good person, right? It's about being aware of the opportunities coupled with who you are to see where there's a good fit. That is where what it really comes down to. So, and also understand that because you getting connected with people, understand that recruiters and hiring managers, they want to hire people, and they want to hire people in a relatively expeditious fashion. So it behooves you to follow and be connected with these people so that you can see when a job pops up, you can respond, and you're aware of it. And also there's trends in hiring that you can see. For example, Prime Air in October last year had 140 jobs posted, and then it went down to 40, and now it's up to 60. And conversely, Amazon Air had 15 or 20, and now it's up to 60 regularly. So you can see, though, there's trends in hiring, where they're going, and you can see where the big pools of things are. For example, AWS, I think, has 8,900 data, maybe, jobs available. So if you follow people, you are just getting information awareness, and you couple it with how awesome you are, you'll see that opportunities start popping up. Does that make sense? Candy, all right, good.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. So follow, guys. It's also the moral of the story. All right. So here's what I want to remind you of. We are not going to spend too much time today talking about Amazon employment pathways, although there's some really important ones, Billy, that we're going to talk about. But here's what I want you to know, guys. The Amazon Military Affairs team every single week is doing webcasts similar to this, but basically all focused on Amazon employment. The whole team comes in. There's actually a session today at 5 Eastern, 3 Pacific. Al Bellamy, thank you so much for giving me a plug on this yesterday. So here's the deal, guys. Every single week, definitely make sure that you are attending one of those sessions. All right, so Billy, I'm going to turn it over to you. And if we can talk a little bit about the area manager roles for student veterans, and some other really cool pathways on the part-time side, I think that would be an awesome place to start. We're running a little bit behind, guys, all my fault. So we're going to keep the employment section pretty tightly wrapped around this. Theta, if you want to spend a couple minutes on some of that, we can, but I'd really like to make sure that we have tons of time for the interview prep. So, okay. So Billy, can we talk a little bit about the area manager roles for student veterans, and I'll kind of jump in based on what I've heard too as well, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say I would ask my colleagues to join in as well, because I will be as transparent as possible. I am not a recruiter for our senior ops positions. Again, as mentioned, I do focus on our entry-level positions, but I am aware of what we do in the space, so happy to shed some light. And as a quick plug, I did place in the chat the registration link for the webinar series, so feel free to go ahead and click on that before the webinar is over so that you have that link. So area managers, a lot of our veterans who join Amazon join into ops, and that's there's no secret there. A lot of veterans and military spouses find great success within operations due to a lot of the similarities that exist from the military culture and within our operations network. So being part of a team, being able to lead a team of associates, being able to understand key KPIs and metrics, and being able to accomplish the mission. These are all things and great attributes that military veterans bring to the table. And so for our area manager position, that's going to be one of the first tiers of management positions within our operations network. And one of the biggest distinctions between these positions and some of the ones that I directly support is that the minimum requirement to be an area manager, one of the biggest requirements, is that you do have at least a bachelor's degree. So for all of you right now that are in school using GI Bill, using some other program, or just going back to school on your own, good on you. That's going to set you up for great success in being able to then have a degree and then be qualified to apply for some of these positions. So we recently hired a new individual that works as part of our student veterans team, and she specifically recruits student veterans. So in the past, there's a lot of other student programs. We have veteran programs, but we never had a student veteran program. So if you join those weekly webinars, you'll be able to speak with her and understand exactly how you can set yourself up for success now while in school, so that upon graduation, you can seamlessly apply for some of these area management positions. And then obviously, everyone can read the slide. I won't necessarily get into too much detail. Here, though, is some of the other basic requirements. If you are an NCO, staff NCO, junior military officer, you have that bachelor's degree, you're able to potentially relocate. These are all things that the recruiting team is going to look for in our area manager or some of our senior operations management positions as well. So realize that, not every veteran or every military spouse is going to be able to be flexible with the relocation, but it is a huge plus. It does serve as a great advantage because now you're opening up the aperture, you're opening up the possibilities of what is out there. And so, if that works for you, then great. If you are, committed to one specific area, then obviously we'll try to work with you in that space, but the opportunities might be a little bit more far and few between. So my positions, the part-time and full-time hourly roles. So, Candy and I were speaking about this previously, and we're really strong believers in this, but if you are in school right now, school is great, and you should 100% dedicate a lot of your time and energy to your degree and to your classes and to your academics. On the other side of that, though, there's another piece, things like internships and fellowships or part-time work that can really set you up for success. And what I mean by that is you need to broaden your horizons. Our experiences as military veterans are only under the construct of being in the military. By then taking a part-time job or taking an internship, you now get to view the civilian world outside of the lens of just a classroom. And so being able to go to job interviews, being able to work within an office environment, or in our case, a warehouse environment, can really give you good perspective as to what it is that you want to pursue after your degree. So these specific opportunities are for those who are looking to maybe get a paycheck and supplement their GI Bill. Maybe they're looking to understand, hey, is Amazon operations really for me? So that when I do graduate with my bachelor's degree, I understand exactly what an area manager does, and I know for a fact that that's my career goal. So we just implore all veterans and all military spouses that are currently going through their degree requirements to consider Amazon as a part-time employer and realize that it can bring you a lot of value that will provide value much more into the long term as well. So that's a shameless plug with the roles that I support. But again, as a veteran who worked a part-time role while in school after I transitioned, I can tell you personally that there's a lot of value in getting out there, maybe having a sense of humility, taking one of those hourly roles and just exploring different opportunities and realizing what is for you and maybe more importantly, what's not for you.
Yeah, and Billy, I'm just going to jump in on that too. I work with so many student veterans that are so focused on that degree, and then they finish the degree and are kind of like, okay, well, now what? And so again, I cannot reiterate enough what Billy said. Experience is so critical along with the degree. So Billy, I just appreciate that. Billy, I think, did you want to talk to any of these?
Yeah, I'll just do a very quick overview. I know we're short on time, but this is an example of one of our great success stories, one of many here at Amazon, of someone who joined us as an associate. This is Michael Stewart. He was an NCO in the Marine Corps before transitioning out and then holding down a few different jobs before eventually coming to Amazon, and really came to Amazon to have a sense of stability, to maybe pursue a career as opposed to just having different jobs. And within a short amount of time, this is an individual who proved that they could be a leader, proved that they could be a great team member, really embodied Amazon's leadership principles, which I'm sure my colleagues will speak about during the interview process advice section. But again, the reason I bring up Michael and some of the other folks who have similar experiences is to demonstrate that these are not dead end positions, that these are hourly roles, yes, initially, but can go on to bring great value to you and your families in the long term, great benefits, a career trajectory that, is really outstanding. So again, just really want to reiterate the fact that our hourly positions are, entry level, but they are ones that you can take advantage of to get your foot in the door with Amazon, and either, work part-time in school or eventually transition into a full-time career after school as well.
That's great. Thank you so much, Billy. I really appreciate that. I also just want to mention really quickly again, you guys hear me talk about SkillBridge a lot. Amazon is certainly a leader in the SkillBridge space. And so there's kind of two key areas right now for SkillBridge, worldwide operations and Amazon Web Services. I cannot reiterate enough, make sure that you get to one of the Amazon weekly sessions. Specifically seek out Elisa Bennett and Samantha Domingo to talk about SkillBridge opportunities. Theta, I left a couple of things in here. I don't want to take too much time away from the interview prep, but I also don't want to skip this very important opportunity for you to just share a little bit. So I'll let you kind of chat for a couple minutes about these roles if you don't mind.
Yeah, so Ops Tech IT is going to be the on the ground tech. So the people that are making sure and putting all the work in to make sure that, like Billy, that Billy's side of the house gets packages from A to B, right? And making sure that everything is up and running from a technical side. So that is on the Ops Tech IT is on the ground tech. So fulfillment centers, cables, that kind of stuff. And then we also have the AWS tech, which is the cloud, the infrastructure, powering hundreds of thousands of businesses in over 190 countries. So 3-letter agencies, places like Netflix, they use our cloud for storage. And so there's that two distinctions between the technical aspects of Amazon. So really being able to understand what part of the house you really fit into. Ops Tech IT is like the IT managers, the support specialists, the desktop help, supply chain management assistant, that kind of thing. And then AWS is going to be the developers, the engineers, the cloud supports, all those types of stuff. So I think when it comes to Amazon technical opportunities and what you're wanting to do, you really got to differentiate and find out what side of that coin you fit into and that you want to be in. And then from there, we can have other conversations about how to get you there. And I'll stop there so that we can make sure we're having enough time.
Fantastic. So moral of the story is everybody needs to join an Amazon session.
Exactly. Exactly. And that link that Billy put up there, it has all updated dates through the end of the year. We're skipping next week, obviously, but then we'll have a couple more before end of year, and it'll only continue after that. So they're all there.
Awesome. Fantastic. Okay. So Billy, I know you might have to drop. I want to make sure that I say thank you so much for being here. Theta and Matt, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about acing the interview. Thank you, Billy. So I will kick it over to you guys. We have about 40 minutes left. So I'm thinking maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then let's jump into some mock interview practice, if you don't mind.
Sounds great. Matt, you want to go first? I know we didn't talk about this first beforehand. Shame on us, but we'll wing it. We're good at winging it here.
Yeah, no, and here's the thing. I'm always excited to see what the next slide says because I haven't seen it yet. So hopefully I know what we're talking about. No, I do. Let's do it. Okay, so yes, absolutely. All right, so the first thing you need to know about Amazon is there's a thing called Amazon Leadership Principles. Ho, there's 14 of them. Is that in a later slide, Candy? Yeah. All right. So I'll go with. All right. So if you understand the 14 leadership principles and where Amazon goes, then there's a distinct possibility that you're going to be both successful in your interview and your entire career at Amazon is based upon these leadership principles. So the ability to invent and simplify, be frugal, earn trust, all those things are both involved in the interview process, and they're involved in your evaluations every year, and they measure your projects, how you manage, all those things. So if you understand these, and then if you go back to the other slide, and you understand your personal background, right? What you offer, what culture you want to go into, then if you can find a match then you're in a good place, right? But you really have to understand where Amazon's coming from and what Amazon finds important and see if it lines up. Now, here's the great news. Veterans, if you look at these things, look at the principles in the next slide. Veterans believe in these things almost all the time. It's just what we do, right? Highest standards, hire and develop the best, mentoring, learn to be curious, right? I think there's maybe one or two that's sort of something that you'd have to be nuanced. Ownership, we live it every single day, right? Bias for action. Come on, you're in the military. You have to stop us from doing things. Okay. Frugality. Well, let's be honest. We've had to squeeze dime on occasion. Earning trust, diving deep, all those things. Disagree and commit, everything is very reminiscent of what you experienced in the military. Now, you also have to understand where you're going within Amazon and understanding some of that cultural fit. And that's why you go to follow-on seminars and you connect with veterans that are Amazonians, because they will tell you their personal experiences. And I guarantee you, they'll also tell you things they're probably not supposed to tell you, how much they make, what they think it's like. They'll tell you everything that you want to know because they're veterans and they connect. So that's how I learned about positions. I just said, hey, you're in the Navy, I'm in the Navy, you're at Amazon, how is it? He said, well, this and this. I go, great, I love that. Or this. Okay, that's not so awesome, right? So I went with the super great direction, and some of the things that didn't necessarily fit, I went away from that.
All right, yeah. So talking about the interviews and things like that, and I think Matt really hit on this. The 14 leadership principles are going to be your key to getting into this company. We make high impacting decisions based on these 14 leadership principles, high financial impacting, hiring impacting. So we are a company that eat, breathe, and sleep our leadership principles. That's no lie. And it helps us keep us objective versus subjective. And that's where we get into the interview process. So our interview process is STAR-based: situation, task, action, and result. So anytime that you're interviewing, you should definitely be focused on that and be focused on the you. And I know that's very hard for military service members because it's all about the we, and that's great, but we really want to know what you did specifically in those roles and in those situations and in those missions. So make sure that you're highlighting those. We are very data driven. So anytime that you can throw some data at us, we will eat that up like it's pumpkin pie on Thanksgiving with whipped cream on top. Okay. We love data, and anything that you can do to give us that stuff is going to be great. Just know that if you open the door to quantitative things, we will walk right through it. So be prepared to answer any follow-up questions that come from that. We are very much a culture of looking around corners, thinking 5 steps ahead. I don't play chess, but we're a culture of chess. We're always thinking ahead. So it doesn't stop when you accomplish a goal. You keep going. What's the next thing? How can we evolve? How can we make this bigger? How do we adapt this? How do we do this and this and this and this and this? So just know that that's the culture here. And that's how you should go about these interview questions. Know that we're looking for individuals that you all have these intangible skills, the ambiguity, the flexibility, the forward thinking. You all have that. So just be very mindful of effectively communicating how you have all these wonderful things around the leadership principles in the STAR format. And I know that that's a lot, and it's a lot harder than what I make it sound, but that's where this practice comes in. Come to these webinars, do some mock interviews, have some informationals, look at the STAR format based questions, and just know everything we ask you is around the leadership principles. Now, there are some leadership principles that are a little bit hotter than others, meaning you'll always find them in interviews, which is, earn trust is huge, customer obsession, delivering results, because again, we have to deliver as a company. That's what we're in the business to do. Learn and be curious. We are a culture of learning and be curious. If you are going to be comfortable with same old every single day, this is not going to be the place for you. You have to take that ownership. And that's another one leadership principle that's hot, is ownership. How much do you have bias for action to take ownership of what you do, what your team does, your career, and your learning? So all that stuff will come into effect when you're going through the interview process, and using situation, task, action, result is the best thing to do. And that's how we expect you to answer those. Really quick shout out on how, what I always recommend people to do is literally print out the 14 leadership principles. I'm a visual learner. and a kinetic learner. I don't do well with people telling me things and especially like during college when you were in like seminars and your teacher would just yap at you for an hour and a half. I learned nothing, absolutely nothing. I am a visual hands-on learner. So what I did is I printed out all 14 leadership principles and I literally wrote out a STAR format, situation, task, action, result for an example that fit that leadership principle. And that helped me retain what I was going to say, because let's be honest, in the middle of an interview, number one, you're not going to know what leadership principle they're going to ask you about. And number two, you're not going to be shuffling through 14 different pieces of paper to find the right example. So it's if you're like me, writing it out, reviewing it, acting it out even is a great way to kind of get prepared. But we do interviewing very differently here. You apply to a role, you get screened, pre-screened otherwise, then you go to what we call an on-site loop. That is a marathon, okay? This is not a sprint. Amazon is not a sprint type of organization where you interview and you're good. You will literally interview the better part of the day. You'll have 4 to 6 interviewers and they're right one after the other. So 45 minutes, 45 minutes, 45 minutes, 45 minutes, 45 minutes. So you interview almost an entire day. Do not schedule a family get together, a family reunion after an Amazon interview, because you could be the most extroverted person like myself. And I tell you what, after my Amazon interview, I just wanted to curl up in the fetal position and just be quiet in the dark. And I'm very extroverted. I don't know if you can tell that, but it's a marathon and it's fun. We make it very conversational. We make it very fun, but make sure you're setting yourself up for success. You're ready, you're prepared, you're getting up and walking around in between interviews, because chronobiologically speaking, meaning the science of your brain, you shouldn't sit down that entire time. You need to get up and walk around to reset your thought process. On that same token, this will be the last thing I say, I promise, Candy. If you feel like you bombed one of your interviews, don't let that set you up for failure for the rest. Remember, you have 4 to 6 interviewers. Those 4 to 6 interviewers at the end of your final interview come together and they talk about your interview every single time. They talk about your responses, they talk about your examples, and let's say you bombed one of them, but the other 5 loved you, you're gonna be fine. And it's very important to know that we, again, take those leadership principles to evaluate you, and we have what we call a bar raiser, whose pure job is to make sure that the discussion around whether we hire this person or not hire this person is fully objective on their leadership principles and the data that they provided to prove that. It doesn't have anything to do with, oh, Matt didn't smile enough. He's too rigid. He's military. We don't do that here. It's very much around the data that you provide. So be prepared to do that. That's all I gotta say.
So I consider you an introvert, Theta. So to follow what Theta was talking, so I know that this might be a surprise, but I've been described frequently as a very large hammer looking for nails. So nuance has not been my specialty, okay, or nails in general. With regard to the STAR, Theta covered everything. I'd like to emphasize thing. In the military, frequently we will say, well, I was in charge of 150 people and we did this. Always, always, always remember there is a result and it has to be a metric that can be shown, okay? Otherwise, it is empty action. So if you say, hey, I was 150 people. All right, well, what'd you do? We didn't do so well. No, right? So they want to hear what the end result is. Also, practically speaking, how I prepared for an interview. I interviewed for 2 different jobs in Amazon in my life. The first one, I did not prepare and I did not get the job. The second one, I did prepare and I did get the job. Here was the difference. Before, I just thought that I was going to walk in and they go, you are both intelligent and strong. You're hired. Nope. They actually want you to talk and be able to talk about stuff. So I took the leadership principles as Theta has suggested. I put them on one side of my desk, and then I took every single fitness report, every single evaluation, every single award, put it in the center, and then began to create STAR stories as I was looking through my awards, as I was looking through my evaluations. I created these STAR stories, both small and large. Okay. They're not looking for you to sort of say, hey, I rescued 817 personnel out of Lebanon during a non-combatant evacuation. They want to hear, sometimes it's, hey, I improved maintenance by 15%. So we shaved off 2 personnel hours a week. They're like, oh, that's a great result, right? That's a great star story. So go through, you'd actually be surprised. Your evaluations and your awards are frequently written in the star format. You just need to then look at the leadership principles. And when I interviewed, I had the list of all my stories in front of me, and I checked them off as I told the stories. Because the people that are interviewing you are typing, they're not looking at you. So I was just checking off my stories to make sure I didn't tell the same story twice. And also, there's no way that you can recall every single thing that you've done on the spot when they ask you a question you haven't been heard before. Good?
My
All right,
turn.
so what do you guys think? Can we jump into just practical practice together?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So for those of you out there, I showed you how to raise your hand earlier. If you are so inclined to join us on camera live to answer an interview question, what I will tell you is this. Couple things. We have 5 mock interview questions lined up before anybody has to answer live. What I think might be helpful is we'll show you the question and then we'll just take like 30 seconds and we can all kind of process, right? Just give us all a chance to process what our responses would be. By the way, I'm going to volunteer that if nobody else volunteers, I'm going to be the guinea pig, which is also giving me anxiety. So I hope other people volunteer because we want this to be, oh, good, Eric Bennett, thank you. We want this to be a great opportunity for you guys to learn and practice together. So I'm hoping a few more hands pop up. Awesome. Oh, good, you guys. Okay, good. We've got 2 hands up. I'm hoping that we get maybe 3 or 4 more hands coming up. Good job, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So we've got a few hands up, guys. By the way, I hope that some of you are student veterans that are also raising your hands. This is a great opportunity to just get some exposure. Okay, great. So Matt and Theta, since you guys are words, I'm gonna ask Roland to answer this first one. Roland, I just made you a panelist. You should be able to turn on your video. And Ricardo, I'm also gonna make you a panelist. Awesome. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Okay, so Matt and Theta, we have a very brave volunteer. Thank you so much for doing this, Roland. How are you?
Good. How you doing today?
Awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Matt and Theta. So I'll let you guys ask the question as if you were an interviewer. Maybe let's just take a few minutes so everybody can kind of catch their breath and think about how they would respond. And then Roland, we'll let you give this one a shot, okay?
Yes, sir. All right, yes, ma'am.
All right, Roland, I'll ask the question. First of all, thanks for volunteering and joining us. This is going to be great. So no pressure, no big deal. There's no wrong answers necessarily. So if you wouldn't mind just giving me an example of your most difficult customer or one of your most difficult customer interactions and how you worked through it and what was the outcome?
So my job right now currently is I am superintendent for quality assurance. So, of aircraft maintenance. So for me, I have a team of 18 individuals who go out there and inspect on a flight line, as well as different shops to ensure for, hazardous chemicals and safety on a flight line, just basically to ensure that we're doing the job properly. One issue that we had recently was, we had a safety violation for one of the individuals. Well, I had one of the squad representatives came over to us, was kind of questioning why we would write it up as a safety violation. So what we did was, spot him in the office, was able to sit him down, pulled up the discrepancy that we found on a computer, kind of worked through it. Also was able to pull up for us, Air Force instructions that specify exactly what it is in that specific instruction to show what the safety violation was. And why we felt that this was a in the realms of that. It wasn't just a technical order violation as far as the job that they did. This was actually an observation because we at the time we weren't actually doing an inspection. We were just driving past and we saw somebody doing an unsafe act. At that point, it allowed us to write them up. We went over there, corrected the situation, had them stop, come down from the stand, corrected that situation immediately. And once we were good to go and we knew we had a safe environment, we let them go back up, finish their work up, and then we just came back and reported to their supervision.
Great, thank you for that. Matt, do you have any feedback before I start?
I have a bunch of kids. I don't know who they belong to, shouting in the background. They don't look well disciplined. So the first thing, it's really tough getting up there. So well done, right? And you're also not having prepared the preparation. So the first thing I'd say is safety is always a great topic. Everybody wants to hear that you've done something that's with regard to safety. Okay. I've had it go both ways. I've had people say, well, I don't know if I should tell you this with regard to safety. I don't know if I should tell you this. Stop. If you're ever going to story and you're wondering whether or not you should tell it, you always want to be the hero at the end, even if it's a question where you're not the hero initially, right? So stop. So your safety story, great. We found a safety violation. We informed the customer how they, where the violation was. So the ultimate outcome was that they understood, they were educated, and became more safe environment, right? So that's now you have to show some level of quantification of that, or qualification, or so, a qualitative thing. But the story is good. Make it crisp. Make sure that you identify who the customer is. So who is the customer in that circumstance? It's both the person and the organization, right? So safety is always a great example. So off the cuff, that was pretty good. Data?
All right, thank you.
Well, that was very good. And I just want to, you kind of somewhat went where I was going, Matt, which was, you told me it was a safety violation, but what would have happened had you not? Like how, I know sometimes you can't tell me exactly what the safety violation was, but I think it'd be important to know that had we not stopped this, X, Y, Z could have happened. It could have destroyed, human assets, whatever, right? I think it's important for the audience to know like how big of an impact that was, which goes to the qualitative point of Matt, especially because and I think this is important for the group to know, a lot of the recruiters that you're going to come in contact with don't have military experience. So be sure that you are taking a pause and really driving it home how important the safety violation is, because you're not going to have Matts of the world that know safety violation is huge within the military. It could cost, millions and millions of dollars. Well, little civilian Theta doesn't know that. So I needed to know what exactly the impact was of this, or would have been. And then the results piece of it, same thing. You let them go back to work, but what did you potentially proactively mitigate since you hit this on the head right away? Had we not done this, we let this person continue on, there would have been a potential to lose XYZ. So I think that overall, off the cuff, fantastic job, just more qualitative or something to that effect, that we understand the impact that this could and would have had. Go ahead, Matt.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing you know what Amazon does, which is great. I didn't expect them to do this. They tell you who's going to interview you. So you can actually look them up on LinkedIn and determine whether or not they'll actually understand the language. So during my interview, I knew that one person was an Apache pilot, another one was a software developer, another person had done engineering school, and I knew their entire background. So I knew that I could deliver some of my stories in a language to certain people that they would understand. So just understand your audience, and also remember this thing. Roland, is it Roland? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Roland, you're awesome. Most of these people don't do anything that you've done. Like you were describing aircraft, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. That's awesome. Most people sit at a desk. Just remember, your stories are interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Roland, for joining us. We appreciate you jumping in on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Hi, Ricardo. How are you?
Oh, good, good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. So I'll jump to the second question for Theta and Matt to kick off.
Go ahead, Matt.
Hold on a second. Hello, Ricardo. I'm excited.
Hello.
I hope you're excited too.
Of course.
All right. So tell me about a goal that you set that took a long time to achieve or that you are still working towards. How do you keep focus on the goal given the other priorities you have?
I would say that would have to be working towards my master's degree. I had the idea that I was going to go straight for my master's, but I knew that I was going to have to take it step by step. So before that, I went with my with the associates in criminal justice, and then worked towards my bachelor's before pursuing my master's. So I at least knew that I reached a stepping stone each time and built my confidence back up when I was ready to pursue my next degree. So when I started my master's, I'm still pursuing it right now. I'm expecting and hoping to be finished with it next year. Hopefully by the end of the year, if there's no unexpected challenges that arrive. So other than that, I'm still working towards it, and I'm still staying focused and trying to get as much connections with people and see what I can learn, because every day is still a learning experience.
All right. Theta, do you have anything before I start?
Go ahead and start. I'm finishing up some notes I was taking.
Okay. So, Ricardo, good. Got it. Okay. So one of the things that I would say is when you're telling a story, any story, when you're doing an interview, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. All right.
Okay.
So you can smooth out your story, the language of your story. Hey, why I mean that is, I think I'm going to. No, I'm gonna get it at this point. This is the stuff that I had to persevere through while I was getting the master's. I started with an associate, and these are the things that got in the way, and I persevered through that. And I've already achieved my bachelor's, and I'm going to do this, right? So
Yeah.
even if you have doubts in your mind, listen, they don't need to know about the doubts. You bring it, right? And if they ask you, what are some of your doubts? You say, well, I have this, this, and this. But understand, again, you're awesome. And you're going to be successful. And if you feel that way as you're answering the question, they're going to feel that way. And one of the things that what people don't say is when you enjoy telling a story and you enjoy telling the interview, the people that are interviewing you enjoy it, right? So if you're fired up, they will also, they're like, wow, I feel better about the day, because they do this all day. They literally do this all day. When I was interviewing, people that were interviewing with me said, I am excited about Amazon now that I've talked to you. Yeah. And then people that interviewed me said, I'm excited about Amazon now that I've interviewed you, right? If you're excited about it and your personal, it translates. And just remember, it's really tough as a veteran to sort of think that what you've done, because you're surrounded by people that persevere all the time, that your story isn't sort of special and important, and that there's nuances that are going to reflect greatly. They do. Okay. So just bring it. You're awesome.
All right. Appreciate
Theta?
it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to, before I get into specific feedback for you, I just want to echo what Matt just said. Interviewing sucks and it is not fun. I hate interviewing, and I do this for a living. Like, I don't hate interviewing other people. I hate interviewing myself. And just know that the interviewers are people too. We're nothing scary. We're not anything special. Maybe in your eyes we are, but we're just people. Like, just have a conversation with us. Get us excited about you. You're interviewing us as much as we're interviewing you. It's a two-edged sword here. So utilize that to your advantage, and with your confidence, and with like, hey, let me tell you about myself. This is what I've done. And to Matt's point, you have some really great stories being military. I'm not military. I did not serve. I just grew up in a military family. So all of these wonderful stories, I eat them up, and your audience will too. So have confidence in that. Know that you're amazing. Know that you're bringing a lot of things to the table. And to Matt's point, like, you get what you give out in the universe. So if you give out that excitement, I mean, look at Matt today. This is the most excited I've seen him, and I've worked with him for a very long time, and he's making me excited. And I really needed that today. It's been a long day so far. So
The bar's pretty high though. The bar's high.
So just give that out. One thing that I would say is give some more detail in that. So you said you're getting your master's in what? You got your associates in what? You said you got your bachelor's in criminal justice. So I'm assuming, and I don't want to assume, and your interviewer shouldn't assume. Give those details. And then I think what I really struggled with was the results piece. What other things are the results of that? Is your GPA good? Is it high? Are there important classes that you really loved and that have kind of steered you toward this master's degree, or that you want to do after you achieve your master's? Like, what is the end result? After I achieve my master's, this is what I would really love to do, right? And I think, and I'm gonna pick on you just a little bit, Ricardo, okay? Because it's beneficial to the group. Practice, practice, practice. Even if you're not actively interviewing, but you're going to interview, don't just audibly record yourself and listen to it, but visually record yourself. And I'll tell you this in a really quick personal story, because you'll catch a lot of nuances that you didn't know you had, both verbally and physically. And in this new day and age of visual and virtual interviewing, it's important to know what's going on in the camera, right? And so there was this one time I'd worked with a local veteran association for many, many years. And we were at this event and they asked me to do a local news spot for them about the event. I was like, sure, no problem. I've been on TV before. It's fine. No big deal, right? I did it and I saw the broadcast and I had the worst face ever. And I never realized how mean I looked when I'm being focused. I mean, I've had people tell me before, man, you look angry when you're focused, and I'm just heavily focused. Well, I was being professional because I was on camera talking to a really cool news anchor, local celebrity, whatever. So I was like, super profesh. I looked awful. I did not do that event or my company justice, and I was mortified. So that's why I'm a big proponent for recording yourself, both verbally and audibly. And the picking on you part of this is there was a lot of ums. Right. And again, you just volunteered for this. You haven't prepped. I don't expect you to have those things perfected by any way, shape, or form. But I think it was a stepping stone for other people to know how important practice is. And by no means is this picking on you at all, because you just raised your hand. So there's no expectation whatsoever that you don't use ums right now. But I think it's important to just drive that point home that you need to watch your faces and you need to watch your verbals because they'll get you and you have no idea you're doing them whatsoever. So thank you for bringing that up where I could talk about it.
Yeah, so I would say that their military almost values this. If you looked at LinkedIn profiles and you look at pictures, the military values this picture. This literally. I don't know how to make the. It's right. It's the I am serious. Okay, let's smile at a minimum. Smile. Right.
Yeah.
That's it. Hey. Right.
Worst
and
ever.
it'll be okay.
So bad.
All right.
Listen,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I just want to say you're a student veteran and you are proactively volunteering on camera with the Amazon team. Kudos to you, right?
Absolutely.
I appreciate you taking advantage of that. Same for you as well, Roland. All right, so we have about 8 to 9 minutes left. Theta and Matt, Mark and Eric are also joining us, so I'd like to give them an opportunity to answer a question. If we
Let's do it.
Do that. All right.
All right, my turn, I think. Who am I talking to? Mark or Eric?
How about you, Eric? Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's do it. Hi, Eric. All right, your question is, can you give me an example of a tough or critical piece of feedback that you received? What was it, and what did you do about it?
Theta, thank you for the question. This is a good one because I have a great example, some past military experience for me. When I attempted to get selected for a special organization, you have to volunteer for a screening, a 2-week screening. It's both physical and mental. It's to get into Joint Special Operations Command. So I decided to lay it on the line, and I already had a successful career, but I decided it was time to step it up to the next level. So I volunteered for some very, very critical feedback and a kick in the butt also at the same time. So I went into it a little bit unprepared, and I was humbled. It was a great learning experience, but it hurt my pride. It hurt to have to go back to my old organization with essentially with my tail between my legs. So what I did was I took the critical feedback that I received from the organization, and I kept it in my wallet for 3 years. And for 3 years, I built my skills. I took that critical feedback and I internalized it and I reflected on it, and then I turned it around in 3 years, and I attempted the same selection again, which was even more difficult because I knew what was coming. I knew how difficult it was going to be, and I could have easily just rested and stayed where I was at and be comfortable. But the fact that I attempted to go through it again, and I knew what I didn't perform on last time, I performed 10 times better, and I ended up excelling, getting selected for the organization, and I ended up being one of the highest performers there. I ended up winning an award as the #1 special operator out of 2016 out of my organization. So I'm glad that I did it. It hurt when it happened, but I believe in growth through pain and not resting on your laurels. Did I answer the question?
Can we just all give him a round of applause? That was a fantastic star format. Like you literally did it so well for me. So I don't know if you've interviewed before, if you've practiced this in preparation for what you're doing, but that was fantastic.
That he was number 3.
Number 3. That was great. And really, in all honesty, kudos to Ricardo, Roland, and yourself, Eric. You know, this is not easy. It's not easy to volunteer. You're not being, you know, actively interviewing for a role with us, but this is definitely helpful to your peers right now. And you did a fantastic job, Eric, and Ricardo and Roland as well. So I don't have any feedback other than that was great. Matt, I don't know if you want to dive a little bit deeper and give them something.
So the only thing I'd say is that, no, it was very good. When you in the military, sometimes you have to dance around some of the nature of your work. Right. So, you know, you were in Spec Ops doing some high level stuff, right? So it's a game. It's a little bit of I had to have the same sort of conversation. They're asking me about unmanned aircraft systems operations. Well, if you're doing it for SEAL teams, guess what? You can't really, it's hard to, you have to be sort of obtuse about it. You know, just some of the ones that are super good examples that, you know, orient themselves around things that you can't tell the full story. You're going to have to practice that in a way that you can give the impact without giving the information that you don't want to give. I know that sounds difficult, but that is the nature of, you know, the work that you did. So I saw your profile on LinkedIn because LinkedIn's awesome, right? So, so I saw the nature of it. You're also an Honor Foundation person, right? So,
correct.
And it also says you're an American Ninja Warrior competitor. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing.
I will say,
you
know, I'll just say one thing. If that doesn't come up during an interview, it should.
Yeah, that's what the goal is.
Good. All right. So that's what I'd say is that just if you know that you can't describe it, then practice doing it. And if it is something that you know, there is also the ability to deliver a grabbing, catching story. And you must want to practice that too, because there's a level of impact. The same story told 2 different ways can have a different impact, right? So if you know how to deliver the kicker at the end, sometimes people will go, I don't have anything for you. It's, you win, right?
Right.
And they just kind of like pencils down, exam over, I gotta go. That's it.
That's what I'm shooting for. And yeah. I appreciate both of your feedback, Theta and Matt. And Matt, I absolutely battle with that that ambiguity and that and trying to remove certain pieces of it. I'm battling with it, but absolutely practicing helps tremendously. So appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, as an aside, I support the Honor Foundation as a mentor, so feel free to reach out. So Honor Foundation, Candy, you know who the Honor Foundation is, obviously,
Yeah, I
right?
work closely with Tori.
Incredible.
Yep. Awesome. Eric, thank you so much. Okay, guys, we have like 3 minutes, but I think we can get to the next question. Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I was just taking a minute to read, so I'm trying to maximize time.
No
And
worries.
it's my turn. And Mark, you go ahead and read. I'm the one to answer the question, but I do not have a hard stop. I will go late to my next thing if it means answering
Me
this.
too.
Matt, I appreciate that's a very interesting question. I do remember this time that I was selected to be part of an assessment and selection team where we were actually developing a pilot program to assess individuals coming into my MOS within the Army, which is Civil Affairs. And we were actually looking at their capabilities and kind of where they were determining what was the best quality of candidates to bring into our MOS. And our initial feedback we got from the general was, here, this is what we want to do. And we developed a program to assess and evaluate the candidates. And we ran through our first program, and we determined those metrics of developing their communication skills, both written and orally, really weren't up to the standard that the organization wanted to run and kind of develop and gather that information. So we had to really go back and redetermine the measurements of their capabilities and really what we were looking for, because the original concept is they wanted a 6 on the physical scale, but really a 9, 10 on the mental and communication style. So we really had to go back and determine what our organization as a whole wanted to see and make sure that it was actually valid to what we could actually evaluate the students on as they were working through the program. So it was interesting as we went through the first 30 days to determine it, run through the program, and then actually, evaluate it later on. So it was quite interesting as we worked through it.
Hello.
Yeah.
All right. So let me see. I fiddle-fuddled with my Zoom, so I lost you for a second, but I could hear you the entire time. All right. So I understood exactly what you're saying. Okay. I understood what you're saying. MOS.
Yes, military occupational specialty.
That's right. So remember your story was a good one. There's obviously going to be some stuff there. Just remember to translate things general to boss and MOS. What is that, right? So when you start at MOS, that was a good story that obviously has depth to it, and it looked like it had a great punchline that you could punch at the end that you could deliver. I would say refine a little bit on the metrics with the punchline, and then make sure you just look at your jargon. But that's a good star story because it involves a really, really interesting subject. Okay. Assessing of the human condition and the ability, to the human nature of someone and leadership and development. Amazon loves that. So that's a great story. I would keep it in your back pocket. And I would just make sure that you watch military jargon, because you don't know who you're talking to unless you do. And if it was an Army Apache person, they would go, yep, got it, absolutely. But I had an SDED, a software development engineer, SDE, right? So people always talk about an Amazon as SDEs. And I said, what is an SDE? I have no idea what this SDE is thing. Well, it's so common in Amazon, they no longer even say it out loud, just like we don't say MOS.
Yeah, I tried to catch myself by saying Civil Affairs, but then I was like, I caught myself halfway through it.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where you just have to remember, if not practice, just look at the language and have somebody else listen to you who doesn't understand who you are. If you do that, allow someone that doesn't know who you are to hear the story, then you know that you've translated it well.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Do you have red lights in your house? Are you trying to?
It's my room. My room is painted red.
Nice. I was going to
Yeah.
say, well, it's combat ready at the house.
In darkness, got to be careful.
Do you have anything, Theta?
I was going to talk about the MOS acronym piece and be careful who your audience is. That was it. So you hit all my stuff on point. So +1.
Theta and we're like this. Yes.
So guys, listen, Ricardo, Roland, Eric, Mark, I just want to say thank you for just offering to answer these. I know this is scary. I really appreciate you participating and being willing to get that feedback live on camera with us. I am also just going to show everybody the last practical application question number 5 that we had. We won't ask or answer this one out loud because we're out of time, but I wanted you guys to see it. So maybe as an opportunity, you've now seen 5 interview questions. This is a great opportunity to just use those leadership principles, the STAR method of interviewing, and just maybe practice over the next few days. I want to leave you with something. What's happening when we make a career change? We think that we completely start over from day one. The reality is you bring everything of your past experience with you. So I hope that for those of you that are in transition, either as student veterans, transitioning service members, or spouses, thank you for being with us today as you are reinventing yourself into civilian language. Just some friendly reminders here, guys. We're a little bit behind on time, but just remember, leverage LinkedIn. Think about Veterati. Like, there's so many opportunities. Please join an Amazon military affairs session one of these coming weeks. Share and tag 50 Strong if we can be of support to you. Next week, we are off for Thanksgiving. I hope you all have a lovely Thanksgiving. Again, I just want to say thank you so much, Theta, Matt. Let Billy know how much we appreciate you guys joining us again today. We love having you here. With that, we are a minute behind. Here's what I'm going to say. Second person to put into the chat box mine and Theta's favorite football team is going to get a $50 Amazon gift card. For those with us.
What?
Oh, goodness. Look at you guys. Looks like Eric Bennett.
Haters. The heck?
Wow, everybody knows Theta. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for being here. We really have appreciated this, and we will see you week after next.
Hey, Candy, can I ask you a huge favor?
Oh, yes.
Can I ask, can Theta or Matt, can you guys put in the URL to the Amazon webinar? I know we put it on the slide. Are you able to dump it in the chat so someone can?
Oh, I can do that, actually,
Oh,
Kev.
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll do that.
Sorry about that.
Guys, I'm going to stop my screen share, do that. I will do that, so just give me just a quick sec.
Thanks,
Well,
everybody.
thank y'all.
For coming today.
Thanks.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
guys.
Thanksgiving.
There's Candy. There's a couple people that asked questions that we didn't get to answer. If they send me a question on LinkedIn, I will try to answer it, or you can ask Theta. One had to do with accommodations. The other one had to do with UAS and DoD Skills Bridge. And in general, for someone that asked another question, I am at the LinkedIn 30,000 limit. So, and I get 20,000 emails in the last year. So the value in my profile is the fact that I send out all these jobs. So follow and then look at the posts. And I try to, the problem with going beyond the 30,000 limit is I have to kick other people out to accept people. So you get 90% of the value by just looking at the posts.
Great. Thank you so much, Matt. Guys, I dropped the URL to all of the Amazon sessions. So definitely check that out. You could also check out any of our LinkedIn profiles, by the way. We all have it on there.
Yay.
Thank you so much for being with us. Kev, thanks for the reminder on that. Look forward to seeing you guys in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Thanks, Candy. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks,
Always
Theta.
great to see you.
Thank you, guys.